it's safe to say that we live in a time where what we wear is more confusing than it has been in the past. In the past, it was very easy to know what you had to wear. All you'd do is basically you'd have a role in society, and you would sort of dress accordingly. Um, and there was kind of a hierarchy of what you wore, that, and you would sort of dress accordingly to that hierarchy. So just to go really broad brush, I mean, there's so much kind of stuff to go into here, and this all might sound quite irrelevant, as to how it links to what you should wear on a date, but it's really key that you really just understand the framework behind this. So basically, before the weekend existed, before all this modern industrial revolution, whatever, people would basically just work every day, right? Most people would work every day, apart from Sunday, but that wasn't really a weekend like we see it today. It would be a Sabbath, where you'd rest. It's not so much that you'd go to the pub and have fun or whatever on Sunday. So I'm not like a anthropologist, but people would just a sociologist, but people would just wear what they would wear to work every day. So if you're a butcher, you just wear the clothes of a butcher, or if you were a iron mason, you just wear the stuff that an iron mason would need to get his job done. Or if you worked in the military, or you're a policeman, you'd have a certain gear that you'd wear. And because we didn't have this modern idea of the weekends and whatever, you'd kind of end up wearing this stuff all the time, and that would be your role in society. And if you read old books, I remember Dracula. If you read that book, there's one bit where one of the characters is traveling through what was the Austro-Hungarian Empire at the time, but it was Romania, and he's just looking at all the peasants, and there are different peasants, and depending on what social status they were, they'd be wearing different kinds of clothes, or if they were from a different sort of ethnic group, they wear different clothes, and all the clothes that people would wear would just be dictated on their place in society and their identity. And this existed until quite recently, right? So until I guess really the last 10 to 20 years when it's really broke down, there was quite a clear image of quite a clear hierarchy of what people wore, depending on the formality of the situation. So you'd have kind of casual clothing, which is what I'm wearing right now, and you'd wear that, t-shirts, shorts, and this is stuff that you wear on holiday, if you're doing physical activity, you're relaxing, you're not working, right? That's the kind of stuff that you wear when you just want to chill out, right? And then you'd have formal clothes. This would be like a shirt. You wear this in a more sort of formal context. Possibly if you were working. And then you had the suit, which is a shirt, but then you've also got a jacket and a tie. And this is what you wear if you were actually working most of the time. If you watch films from the 90s or even the 2000s, even if it's not a super important job, people still wear ties all the time, which you don't see now, right? And then you just had increasing levels of smartness of suits right up to the top, so the most formal occasions of kind of the most important jobs, and that was kind of the hierarchy. And in our mind, we still kind of have this hierarchy in our heads of t-shirts is kind of casual, shirts is more formal, ties even more formal, blah 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 blah. But the cracks are showing in this hierarchy, and things are changing. And I'm not really sure why, but I just guess we live in a time that's very focused on the individual and culture has splintered off quite a lot in a way that it hasn't so much in the past. You know, there are so many sort of sub-genres of like fashion and identity and culture, and sort of small hierarchies within that of kind of what you wear, that this whole system that we used to have of like what was like smart stuff to wear and what was casual stuff to wear, it's just starting to fall apart. You know, for example, when I go to work, I it's the kind of office where I still wear a shirt, right? That's the kind of dress code. But if I was working in an office for like a programming company or like a marketing company or something like that, I've known a lot of companies that you don't. There's no expectation to wear any formal clothes. You just wear casual stuff. Similarly, another thing that I find quite interesting is the t-shirt has become more smart. Like for most of, I guess when did the t-shirt really come around? You know, I honestly think I didn't really see people wear t-shirts in TV or whatever until like the 80s, I guess. I feel like it started off as just sportswear, the t-shirt, but slowly people just wear it like because it's like, I don't know, just as casual wear. And I've noticed that the t-shirt has started to slide up into sort of formal wear almost. Like you see these guys on podcasts like Andrew Tate is a good example, where he will just wear like a t-shirt and a jacket. Now, it's a very expensive t-shirt and whatever, but that looks kind of more formal than some guy wearing like a cheap t-shirt, which is really interesting how this happens. So in our heads, we still have this idea of like what's the sort of hierarchy of formality of clothes is, but these exceptions are starting to dot around all over the place. And like I say, all these kind of small subgenres of fashion, you know, like in London, you've got the kind of roadman style of like wearing the North Face and stuff like that. But then at the same time, you go to, I don't know, you go to a sort of students, like a sort of posh student environment, and people wear like the sort of zipper, sort of what they call like the gilets and stuff like that, you know. And there are so many other of these little sort of microcosms of fashion that didn't exist in quite the same way. So anyway, the upshot is that what you wear today doesn't have very much importance. You can wear sort of clothes that would normally be quite formal, and look worse than wearing something very informal, but it's quite high quality. You know, when I worked in a sales company, I thought like, oh, this is an environment where you want to sort of get ahead, right? And there was a lot of emphasis on like what you wore. And it was a bit of a weird move, but there were just a few guys who wore suits in the office. And I just thought like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to start wearing a tie into the office. And like most people like wouldn't, but I just started doing it. But it was funny because I don't actually think I looked that great in it. Like I enjoyed wearing a tie and whatever, but it was still quite... The sort of quality of clothes that I was wearing was still quite low quality. It was quite a cheap shirt. It was quite a cheap tie. And it probably looked about as good as what I'm wearing now, which is kind of just a t-shirt, like, and, you know, very sort of minimalistic jewellery. And that's because we've lost the sort of hierarchy. So it's very strange, right? And this extends to dating as well. Like, I feel like a lot of advice people give you when you're looking to go on a date with someone is to wear certain stuff. So, but I think the most important thing with going on a date, particularly if you're dating a girl, is you just want to wear stuff that makes you feel comfortable. Now, by this, I don't mean like wear stuff that is like, I don't mean don't dress nice, but dress nice, but in a way that reflects you and reflects what you actually want to wear. I feel like a lot of the time I've gone to a date just wearing this basically, and those dates have always gone really well. Well, not all of them, but they've generally gone better than dates where I've tried to like dress up, where I've worn like a shirt or something like that, just because I thought, I want to make myself look nicer, nominally. And the reason for that is because I think ultimately what women are looking for is they want guys who are not swayed by outside influences. Like, if you read all these books like The Way of the Superior Man and stuff like that, all these kind of books that talk about masculinity in a more kind of spiritual sense, you know, you start asking these really interesting questions like, what does masculinity boil down to? And what I think it really boils down to is just being unchanging, and just being unchanging. That's basically what masculinity is in its essence, resisting innovation. Now, obviously, that's a very rigid definition, and how that expresses itself for us is very different. But fundamentally, that's what it boils down to. And I think if you look at honourable men in history, what makes them honourable is they sort of often stood against something that other people accepted, or they thought about things differently, despite the status quo, right? And ultimately, I think in some way, what women are looking for when they're on a date with you is they want to think this guy has his own mission in life, and he's not letting anyone else get in the way with it. Everyone always says that, I want like authenticity in a guy, and that's kind of what they mean. They don't mean like, for you to like be 100% honest with them about your feelings and whatever. That's a conversation we can have at another time. But what they really mean is you're not swayed by what other people expect you to do, including the girl, right? Like, there's that entrepreneur Alex Hormozy, and he has a quote that kind of sums this up, because he just always wears like sort of tank tops and stuff like that, and he says that his wife would probably prefer him to wear something nicer when they go out for a meal together, but his wife would like him to wear something nicer when they go out for a meal, but she kind of prefers it that he doesn't, because that's he's being himself. That's what he wants to wear. So anyway, I think when it comes to dating, basically what you want to do is you just want to wear whatever you feel comfortable wearing, whatever your personal style is, but wear it at a high quality. A lot of people, when they say stuff like, people say be yourself and stuff like that, and it's often seen as very bad advice, but I think the trouble is you want to differentiate just be yourself, and the caveat of being yourself but in the best way. And it's kind of a similar thing here. When I say just wear clothes that make you comfortable, I'm not saying wear some t-shirt that you haven't washed and some shorts. I'm saying like whatever it is that you like wearing, just buy like the nicest version of that you can afford, and just wear that. So let's say this is kind of the process I did in a lot of my clothes. Is like, I like wearing just plain, quite minimalist t-shirts. So how about I just buy like nicer versions of that? And so I just went to like Uniqlo. They did this exact t-shirt, and it's just a very high quality version of what I was wearing already. I was just wearing kind of sort of sad to admit it, but like stuff I bought in Primark and stuff like that was like really cheap. But I was like, keep the same stuff but just buy it nicer. and so I just did that with all my clothes. And you want to do the same thing with yourself, whatever that is, and focus on personalising, but high quality. And then when you go on a date with a girl, you've got two things ticked off. You've got first, like, you're on you're authentically yourself, right? Out of merit of what you're wearing, and you're still presentable. You still look good, and are still interested. So that's the one caveat that I'd say. And I hope you can take something away from this, guys. And if you click the top link in the description, I'm doing some coaching at the moment, so it'd be great to hear from you. And I'll see you in the next video.